for a news conference with Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski. She's discussing energy policy priorities for the new Congress.
But I have the book. The book that you have all been waiting for. We've been talking about it for a year now. Thanks for the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we have been doing on the Energy Committee on the Republican side for about the past year in an effort to really focus on where we've been with energy policy and really how we move forward in a way that is not kind of the same old, but really reimagining, refocusing where we should be, could be, has been an important opportunity for us to really put some considered thought into this proposal. What you have in front of you is better than airplane reading. There are concrete proposals in them. There are some suggestions in this Energy 2020 document that people will look at and they will argue and they will say, well, that's one person's view. That's true. That's true. But what we're trying to do is not give you a legislative packet starting with initiatives that we're going to kind of click off as we move forward. But this is really designed to be a discussion blueprint. We want to try to change the conversation. And one of the reasons that we need to think about changing the conversation is because the energy paradigm has really shifted. You think about where we were just a decade ago. It was all about the scarcity. It was all about the shortages. It was how much dependent we were on foreign sources for our oil. It was looking at the need to import LNG. Well, fast forward to where we are today, and those once thought of export or import terminals are now looking to be export terminals. We have made considerable gains in terms of our own energy independence to the point where it's no longer just a slogan that we're talking about. So we need to think about what it means to go from an energy discussion that's focused on scarcity to one that's focused on relative abundance and what that means for us as a nation. I started off my comments this morning, I gave an address to NARUC, and in it I distilled it pretty simply and started off with the proposition that energy is good. Energy is just good. And I think any of you who watched the Super Bowl last night know that energy is not only good, it's necessary. And whether it's keeping the lights on so that we can enjoy the game, or whether it's keeping the lights on so that we can work, this is essential to who we are as a prosperous nation. And when you look at this cover, and there is a reason for the cover here, when you look at where the lights are around the world, these are prosperous nations where the lights are on. Where the lights are off in Mongolia and parts of China, and unfortunately in my state of Alaska, this is not such a prosperous area. So how we utilize this basic premise, or start from this basic premise of energy is good and move from there is part of how we want to launch this discussion. And contained within this, again, are 5 pretty simple propositions that we need to move to an energy policy that is abundant, that is affordable, that is clean, diverse, and secure. And when you look at energy in that context, it really does help give you some parameters and some guidelines as to how to move forward. So as you go through this proposal, again, think about it in the context to which I'm offering it, not legislation. I know the first question is going to be, okay, well, so when are we going to see the first bill here? You're going to see legislation move forward based on the conversations, based on the debate and the dialogue on some pretty meaty issues. So whether it's how we advance revenue sharing to the state, whether it's how we put in place an export policy that is not only good for jobs but helps consumers, keeping prices low, while at the same time working with our balance of trade that is so incredibly important. What we're trying to establish here is a new direction. And as we talk about the new direction, I'm going to anticipate one of your questions, which will be, well, how does climate change fit into your discussion in Energy 2020? It has to be part and parcel of what we're talking about, because as we see a change in our energy dynamic, there is also a very keen awareness about energy production, energy consumption that demands attention to the environmental aspect as well. And so we don't shy away from it. But you will not see a cap and trade proposal in here. You will not see a suggestion that we need to impose a carbon tax, because a carbon tax is designed to increase the costs. Well, in my state of Alaska, in a community like Aniak, river community on the Yukon River, they're paying $6.99 for their diesel right now. That's how they're heating their homes. So when you suggest to them that the best thing for you to do is we're going to increase the price so you will decrease your consumption. I don't know what the temperature is in Aniak this morning, but last week in the interior, the temperatures were ranging between 45 below and 50 below, depending on whose thermometer you're looking at. I can't go back to Alaska and tell people that the way that we tackle this is to increase your prices, demanding you to use less and limit your choices. That isn't what a strong nation does. What a strong nation does is figures out how we advance to that next stage, how we build out these technologies, these clean technologies, these diverse technologies that will allow us to do more and to do it in a clean way, to do it in an environmentally responsible way. Raising our energy costs, imposing the mandates, other heavy-handed ideas that are out there for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, they're not going to pass Congress. We've already tried that once. So what we need to be doing as we move forward, there's going to be rulemaking efforts. I think we know that we'll try to take things in a direction that I would disagree with. But what we need to do is find those ways that we develop those technologies to really allow us to have that greater environmental responsibility. So we need to develop the resources that we have today. We do it domestically, so we cut our dependence on OPEC. We take a portion then of that revenue and we specifically dedicate it towards the energy solutions of tomorrow. We talk about our energy deployment fund and how that would build out and truly help us advance. So that's kind of the framework. It is good reading, it's thoughtful reading, and it's designed to advance the discussion on a critically important topic. And I think last night, as I was kind of watching the game at the same time doing my homework and focused on how we were going to do this rollout today, I really didn't have any idea when that game first started how 34 minutes was going to help me tell the energy story and why we focus on energy as a prosperous nation. So I know it kind of delayed the game a little bit, but it was sure helpful from the perspective of letting Americans know how important energy is in their daily world. So with that, any questions that you might have about what's contained in it, what's not contained in it, where we go from here, happy to take your comments.